5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is a podcast where my co-host and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts and media from the previous week, and we get together at a gracious podcast host. And today we are back
Back.
at Higher
We're getting
Gravity Summit Park.
It's a beautiful day out there today.
It is. Thank you for being a gracious podcast host, and it is a beautiful day. So, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other podcasts and craft beer media. We're still early in 2024, and I don't know if today is a podsequence or not. But
I mean,
I will, and we will in just a moment clue you into why I said that. My name is Marco. I'm a taproom manager here locally. I'm the brewer too, And then that other voice that you heard belongs to the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
I am Julia, and not only is Lena creepy as fuck, but never cheap out on toilet paper, toothpaste, or laundry detergent.
Right, especially when you're... Never mind.
No.
Yep, never mind.
Yeah.
And so that was the best co-host in Podcast Landia. And there's a couple other people around the table.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh! I know.
So a voice that all of you will recognize as the conduit for the voice of Cincy Craft. That is the gnarly Gnome.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Back.
Oh, I didn't even know that was back. I'm back.
And then we have a first-time guest, and first-time guests introduce themselves, and that's why I said, I don't know, there's a podcast. I'm totally joking. We're very happy to have this guest, and brand new guest. Introduce yourself.
I'm Blake the Brewery Explorer at the Brewery Explorer podcast. You guys have been more than gracious, and thank you for all the great things you've said about us. And
We've said great things. He hasn't been listening too close.
Yeah.
No, your podcast is amazing. You have done such incredible things since the
and
beginning.
They have Thirst Trap Thursday too.
Thirst Trap Thursdays. That's fantastic. Check that out on YouTube. We'll have you plug all your stuff at the end of the show as well, so people know where to find you.
And we're going to do the same, by the way. We'll plug all this stuff. If you want to get at us, then you get at us.
But you have to wait till the end to find out how to get at us.
Yeah, unless you go look through, previous show notes or whatever.
Google it.
You could.
Or
Probably
Google
come
it.
right up.
It should. We paid to go right to the top of that algorithm. So all the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as Higher Gravity or our full-time jobs. I'm speaking about Julie and myself.
I beg to differ. Yeah.
The Gnome can speak for whoever he wants, and so can Blake.
Sure.
All of my thoughts and opinions tonight represent Mad Tree Blue Ash.
Ooh. Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
wow.
Parks and Rec, they are. Everything I say represents them. To the core.
Okay, all right. Blake, do your thoughts represent anyone other than you?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
that's
Easy
too bad.
enough. Good. It's safe.
Maybe next time.
It's safe. Exactly.
Yeah. So, having said that, no craft beer podcast will be a good craft beer podcast. And we are the #1 craft beer podcast that talks about Cincinnati-based craft beer podcast. To all of you, thank you for listening, for the long-time listeners, and thank you for any first-time listeners. Truly appreciate all of you. One of the few things that you can't get back is your time. And
Did you say Truly? Are you guys sponsored by Truly?
Yes.
Well, if only.
No.
So, thank you. And let's see, what is everyone drinking? We'll start with our new guest.
I'm drinking a Little Fish. I can't remember the name of it, but
Right.
High school lunch.
yes, thank you.
Yes.
That's been on the pod several times.
I chose it
That's
because
good.
they just came into Dayton, where I'm from, so they've been a great addition to Dayton and Cincinnati itself. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's good beer.
For sure. Gnome, what you got?
I went with the Subliminal Jam from Rheingeist because it comes in a fancy bottle and it makes me feel fancy.
Good.
It's a mixed berry sour. And
That's
it
good.
is
Feel
delicious.
fancy?
Yeah, I think I feel fancy.
Yeah,
That's good.
Fanciest one at the table. I went simple. Well, I say simple, but it's a great beer. I went with Saunders Amber Ale.
Very
And you,
good.
Marco?
I have a new one to me. I have Imperial Headhunter.
Oh, nice. How do you like it for the first time that you're having it?
You know what? For the first time I'm having it, it's pretty good.
It
Fantastic.
looks very different than the Imperial Headhunter I had last time.
This is true.
Yeah.
It does.
It's so good.
And so clear. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it,
so
love
fresh
it.
and so clean.
Well, let's go over the pieces of Cincinnati craft beer media that I know we all listen to, or watched, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. We have episode 152 of the Craft Parenting Podcast with Elijah.
I did watch that.
Okay.
I listened.
All right.
No, I'm sorry.
What?
You mean
You had like exactly 3 minutes to prepare for today, and you didn't listen to this one? All right. Well, we'll see about the next one. What about... This is a national one. I'm pretty excited about this one, actually. Drink Beer, Think Beer with John Hall talking to Chris Shields from Rheingeist.
I did.
Ooh, I missed this one. I haven't gotten that one yet.
Oh, all right. And
I'm late.
I was going to say, well, no, but you have a head up because you guys already talked
You already
to
talked to Chris.
Yes.
Like, you beat John Hall
The
to
John
talking
Hall.
to Chris Shields. That is
The
super
bow-tied John Hall.
amazing. So it'll be fun to kind of get your thoughts on what John said in his interview, because there were a lot of crossover points that I'm like, I already know this. Blake and Noah already covered all of this.
John Hall sleeps in a bow tie.
Yes, he
Blake,
does.
your thoughts? You sleep in a bow tie?
No.
Okay.
All right, we have another episode of the Barstool Perspectives on YouTube.
Interesting. Yes.
From
we
Monday.
do.
Yeah, all right.
I like it. I listened.
All right.
Watched.
Yeah.
I watched.
You
I watched,
I
yeah.
mean, you
And I
can
listened,
listen,
too.
just have it playing in the
Just
background.
squeezed my eyes shut so I didn't have to look at them.
That is actually a really good strategy.
No, you miss all of the little things with them. Their beers.
Yeah.
Like the hair and
Yeah.
the wardrobe and
Yep. Very interesting note on the wardrobe choice this week.
All right.
We have an episode of Cincy Brewcast talking with Elijah, who was featured on like every single podcast.
Yeah, he was very popular this week.
All right.
Yeah, he did the car wash this week.
He did the car wash this week. Absolutely. Went through them all. And then last night, as we're recording this episode or show that's not a show, the Weekly Pint.
TWP.
I did listen to that one too.
All right. Do you ever
I listened to
re-listen?
the last two.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So we're set.
Yeah.
We pretty much have all the bases covered. Blake, as
Do you want to
first-
do the last two first and then kick this guy out of here, or you want to save the last two for last and keep him here the whole time?
I mean, I was going to say let's let Blake pick which one we start with because he is a first-time guest.
Well, we don't kick anybody out.
No.
I was just
Because
gonna
we don't
wander
own this
out halfway
establishment.
through. And
Yeah, you kind of
We
do.
don't own this
sometimes I
establishment.
just get up and go sit at the bar.
But
It's boring. Over
even though
here.
we work here, don't think I won't fight you.
Listen to your stupid opinions. We are not affiliated in any way, shape, or form, but it is freaking hilarious, and I cannot
I
get
only
enough of
like to listen to Marco's stupid opinions.
I got those.
it.
I got those.
Plenty of those too. So, Blake, where do you want to start this week?
Let's start with the first one with craft parenting.
Good
Craft
job.
Parenting Pod? All
Good
right.
job.
Sounds good. This is episode 152, Exploring American Barley Wine with Elijah Moreland, which that name is everywhere this week, and I love it. Such a great guy.
It's great.
Apparently, you have to do something, or once you do something once, you get a reputation.
Yeah.
Right.
And Elijah got the reputation for tying people to train tracks.
Mm-hmm.
This episode, they drank nothing but barley wine, so Caroline had a lot of cans to read from,
Yes.
which got a little repetitive as she read some of the West Side ones because it was pretty much the exact same thing on multiple cans, but she did great. They drank from West Side, well, I guess it was all West Side Brewing, the 2021 barley wine, the 2024 barley wine, the date aged from 2022, and they cracked open, did they crack open the toffee and vanilla?
You know, I think isn't
Or
the
they start
isn't the
to-
biggest treat of all the fact that this is going to be at least a two-parter?
Which that threw me off because I listened to this episode, I didn't watch it, so they're doing, they're talking about it, and all of a sudden it just stops.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I went back a couple of times going, what did I do wrong? How did I, mess this up? And I'm like, what has happened? Then I looked at the show notes and it's like, this is part 1 of 2. So Joe, you do the editing. You could have added a little something that says, wait,
To be
to be
continued.
continued. Exactly. So
It would have saved a lot of us from smacking our radios for a while.
oh
trying
my
to
God,
figure out what going on.
I was trying to,
Kicked mine.
yeah.
Kicked it hard.
Oh God,
Yeah.
how's your foot?
It's all right.
all right.
I'm pretty strong.
Yeah, you look pretty beefy.
Did anyone
It's all
go
good.
and like reboot their router thinking that maybe it was a problem with their Wi-Fi?
No, I didn't go that
just kick
far.
things.
But I went back and tried to re-download the episode, and then I'm like, what is going on? So then I went to the show notes. So I
Look what you guys have done to us.
I know you
Yeah.
have made. This is terrible. Terrible podcast experience. Craft Parenting Pod.
Just terrible.
Barley wine must have went straight to your heads, and they're like, "Oh no, we're done with this."
Right.
Exactly. They're just kind of like, we have had a lot of barley wine
Blake
and
just cut off Charles Barkley. Did Blake just cut off
He
Charles
might
Barkley?
have.
Blake did Brewery Explorer just cut off Charles Barkley. That's so
You can't do
terrible.
that.
Like my golf game back 10 years ago. Blake, don't do that again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or do,
I know
because as you
you
can
are.
tell, Charles gets a little long-winded sometimes.
He also gets very animated when he gets angry.
Oh my God, it's true. Elijah has his own sour program. He brought over his own a sour tayberry, sour cherry, a Belgian quad, his missing link saison, a doppelbock.
I don't want to spoil any other shows that we're going to cover later, but guess how many beers he brought when I interviewed him?
It's got to
None.
be.
He brought me 0 beers.
Ooh.
0 beers. He just
Oh.
came strolling in with nothing in his hands.
I have 2 6-packs of Elijah beer.
Wait, what voice is that? Let's try Elmo, since Elmo had a tough week last week.
He didn't have a.
have 2 6-packs of Elijah beer.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty
That's
good.
pretty good.
That's awesome.
Pretty good.
Poor Elmo.
Pretty good. We got into, because we're talking a lot about
Never
Elijah.
ask people how they're doing. Never ask.
Well, unless you're in the Midwest, and then you could be like on fire, dying in the middle of the road. I'm good.
They're just
I'm
mid.
okay. I'm mid. It's fine. It's fine. You got Elijah's homebrew history, and yeah, because we're going to be talking about Elijah again, this one might be. I'm leaving some of my notes out just because, again, some of this is repeating information, but it is all fantastic. They were 2 totally different interviews between Gnome Your Show and Craft Parenting
Oh, yeah.
Podcast. So it's not that you should not avoid listening to one because you think you're going to get the same information in the other. I think that Elijah talked a lot more about some of the beers he's brewed and like his sour beers on Craft Parenting Pod than he did in Cincy Brewcast. They
Because
talked
we
more
just didn't
about
care because he didn't bring them to us.
exactly. So Elijah, for next time, do better. Let's see. American barley wine has to be one word because France got upset at us calling it wine. Air quotes for those of you not on the live stream. Us Americans had to say, oh, fine, we'll just shove the 2 words together and
Right,
make it one brand new word.
That's why the yearly tradition of launching tater tots at France that's why it started.
Freedom
We got-
fries our ass.
Yeah, we got
You know
mad
what?
at them.
Yeah,
so
no
we
It's
launched-
not 2
launched
words.
tater tots.
When you bundle them,
No, we are we are not Mahomesing here. This is a Mahomes free zone. I didn't watch this on YouTube, which it sounds like maybe I'll have to. There were apparently a whole lot of parenting problems
there
throughout the
was.
course of
Jump
this
cuts.
episode.
There was.
There were a lot of jump
which
cuts.
on audio don't really sound like jump cuts.
Right? No, because they kept going. Okay, and we're back, and I'm like, wait, what just happened?
Where did
It was
you
another
go?
one of those.
You see,
What's going
you see
on?
Caroline giving him like the.
Oh,
you
so
know,
she was. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll have to watch this one.
And then she's gone because she had to
I-
go. You know.
Because I did hear say something like, "Oh, Julia's gonna have to do these counts instead of this count." I'm like, I'm not watching this. Oh God, I just didn't have time to go back and watch it before.
I tell you
today,
what, though,
but
I've realized that having like kids playing in the background is kind of awesome for Craft Parenting Pod. It should
Oh,
always
absolutely.
should always exist. You should always
Yeah,
be able to hear
yeah.
kids playing.
Right.
I agree. Let's see. There was a lot of parenting talk near the end, going from a 1-child to a multiple-child household. Not really a beer thing, but it was a big part of the end of the conversation, probably the last maybe 10 minutes of it. And then it just stopped, just dead air. It just
I think the kids
ended.
broke something personally. I think they just smashed the board. or
Ooh,
unplugged
probably. And they're like, well, and we're
show's over.
done. So does that mean Elijah's going back
something.
Back.
with 2 more 6-packs?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. God,
He might still be there.
He didn't bring us. Well,
Maybe
I guess he's
they-
brought you some, Margo.
Maybe they tied him to railroad tracks so he couldn't leave.
Ooh. Those are all the notes that I had because, again, it just kind of ended, and the cross-contamination of Elijah between multiple shows it's going to be a lot of repeating information from last week to
Nobody
this
wants
week.
an Elijah contamination.
But I do have a multiple-choice question about this episode.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. What year, according to Joe, was West Side's 2024 barley wine released? And I see the grins already. Was it A, in 2021? Was it B, 2023? Or was it C, 2024?
Julia, is it D? No, I bring the D. Option D. Is it 1999?
Got a party like it's 1999, so that is
Barley
a
wine does make
possibility.
a party.
Yeah.
And you know
That's,
what? If you age it right, I mean that tracks.
Yeah.
Ooh, tracks. Elijah, we
Back.
can't get away from it. Can't get away from it.
No.
All right. Anyone else have any other notes on this episode? Episode 152 of the Craft Parenting Podcast. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Gnome, you're next in line. What podcast you want to do next?
Whatever's next on your notes there.
my
I don't
notes.
remember.
Drink Beer, Think
There
Beer
we
with
go.
John Hall.
Oh, yeah. John Hall.
Episode 219, Chris Shields of Rheingeist Brewery.
Mm-hmm.
He is the Director of Education, a BJCP judge, a Cicerone. I mean, he is like everything in the world. And he was actually on Cincy Brewcast Volume 7, Episode 5 in April. Well, okay. What year? I was going to see if you could kind of pull that out of your ass. But
Volume 7 would have had to be... so 2020.
math aside.
2021?
Yep. April 19th of 2021. And Blake the Brewery Explorer, now just the Brewery, good God. Now just the Brewery Explorers, Season 1, Episode 6. So, freaking amazing. Kind of started with the thoughts on the state of Ohio beer and craft beer in general, which
I
was
want
a
to
very
start
cool
with
conversation.
Blake, and because since
Yeah.
you and Noah sat down and talked with Chris, what does he smell like?
I don't remember. He didn't smell bad. He smelled fine.
Smells like hops.
I mean,
Always.
I was too, in awe walking through Rheingeist to remember the smell. For especially the first time you go back into like the back offices.
Back.
Let's see. The beer industry was spoiled for a while with its growth, and kind of now that things are slowing down, a lot of places don't really know what to do.
Which is ironic
Was part of
coming
the
from
conversation.
Rheingeist, who just announced that they grew another 50%, tacking on another 50,000 barrels to what they already make.
Jesus.
True.
150,000
true.
barrels a year.
Resiliency is amazing. No one gets into beer because it's easy.
I think there's some people that thought that's what they were doing.
I think some people thought it was
well,
easy.
I guess
I'd argue a lot of people got into beer because it was easy.
Yeah.
They learned that it wasn't, but...
I think the right people that are in beer understood that it's not easy. I would hope.
Okay, yeah.
This is pure
I'll take that.
speculation, pure generalization.
I'll accept
that is my truth. Taproom traffic is changing, which brings diversity to everyone's experience, which I thought was a really cool, insightful take on it. When you don't get as much foot traffic into your tap rooms, you have to look into, do we distribute? Do we just can but sell on-prem for people to take out? How does that change everything? So I really liked that aspect of...
Good Julia with on-prem. What
I know, right?
I know.
lingo.
I'm picking up the lingo from you
Yeah.
guys. God, man, I'm slowly becoming a beer person. Let's see, and how Rheingeist has changed since the 9 years that Chris has been there, because he pretty much started, boots on the ground, doing the grunt work, and now he is the Director of Education, which, just like they talked about, and I didn't have time to go back and listen to the Cincy Brewcast episode, but I remember, Blake, from your episode, what exactly is that? Like, what does Director of Education mean? And that was an absolutely phenomenal part of the conversation, both in your show and from John
he
Hall
runs
himself.
the school program for all of the children that they have that work there.
Yes.
Child labor force.
True.
Correct.
It is
They
very
teach
true.
the children young how to drink.
That's right.
If you don't start them young, I mean, they're going to be drinking like shit macro beer their
right.
entire life.
Sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Sad.
Very, very sad. Instead of a Cicerone course at Rheingeist, they have
The Cicerones.
they have a Ricerone course.
Chicharrone.
Where yes. So that is a very cool in-house program that they have. It's very specific to Rheingeist. And if you get Ricerone, I mean, you're pretty much set for life. The next place you can go in the beer industry is probably San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big beer scene there.
Huge beer scene. Huge.
Huge.
Everyone knows some of the same information within Rheingeist because of Chris's work as the Director of Education. They try to blend the language between the different departments and areas of the brewery into something that everyone can understand. So no matter who you talk to there, someone should be able to give you a very similar answer to if you ask someone else, regardless of position or station in.
Chris was
the
extremely
company.
hyped for this discussion, this interview. I think John Hall asked a total of 3 questions, and one of them was the green door question.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, Chris just blew through this interview, just like he took a flamethrower to it.
It was fantastic. I think John always asked really good questions, but Chris definitely led this conversation.
It was so much to the point where John Hall just stopped and was like, yeah, I like that. Oh, that's really
But as I said at the beginning of our show, what I liked a ton was so much of this information. I'm like, I already got a lot of this from a local-ish podcast. I didn't have to go out to search out a national podcast to try to find information on Chris and Rheingeist and what they're doing. We were able to get a lot of that just in our own local creator group,
Right.
so to speak. So huge shout out to you again, Blake, for
Definitely.
just introducing Chris to the world.
That might
things-
be where John Hall actually
He
picked
might
up
have,
on.
probably.
Possible.
Yeah. He was listener or subscriber number 4 to Blake's podcast, I believe. Yeah.
One of our Patreon subscribers.
Oh,
John Hall.
yeah. Top tier.
Yep.
So he gets all the goodies. I really didn't have any other notes on this episode. Did anyone else have anything to comment on or just to add in general about Chris
No,
or
I'm excited
Rheingeist
to listen to it.
or Rice-A-Roni or anything at all?
I love rice-a-roni.
Oh, that's fantastic. What's your favorite Rice-A-Roni flavor?
That's a good question. The old Spanish rice is a good go-to.
Chicken's always solid.
I was
That's
gonna
what I
say
grew up
probably
on, probably
chicken,
chicken.
right?
Yeah, Blake, do you have a favorite Rice-A-Roni flavor? No. He's just like, what the hell am I doing? What is going on here?
Rice-a-roni? What?
He's so confused. I thought this was a beer podcast and they're talking about Rice-A-Roni. I do have a multiple choice question.
Julia has
Yes,
multiple.
I have one for all the podcasts this week. It's been a bit since I've had some.
Yeah.
So I thought this is the week to break them back out. What phrase has Chris never said out loud before? Is it A, people get into beer because it's easy? Is it B, you need to know a lot about beer to be an accountant at a brewery? Or C, water or EBITDA?
I'm going C.
Going C? All right.
Julia, is it option D? Bring the D. Is it good
Careful with
black,
that
don't
thing.
crack?
Ooh, all right. Blake, do you want to change your answer? Option D is a good one.
Yeah, D's pretty good.
Everyone always picks the D. All right. Everyone doing good on their drinks? We're still...
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep on rolling through this. We have Barstool Perspective and 2 pieces of content from the Gnomeverse. Where are we going next, Marco?
Let's end on Barstool Perspective. Let's go Gnomeverse.
Gnomeverse. So, Blake, do you want to talk about the Weekly Pint or the Cincinnati Brewcast?
Cheers, everyone.
cheers.
When we say
Cheers
that
when
podcast name wrong, we cheers and we drink.
For all of you
That's the
following along.
Cincy Brewcast.
Cincy Brewcast. All right. Volume 9, Episode 22, Sour Beer, Homebrewing, and Maybe Tying Folks to Railroad Tracks. If you have no idea who we're talking about by now, you have not been paying attention for the last week and a half of Cincinnati craft beer media.
Yeah.
We kind of got kicked out of our spot at Higher Gravity Summit Park for this one. We were not
Sort of.
tied to train tracks.
Sort of.
So to be fair, you guys were still at the bar, and I just ran in and took your spot.
You pretty much did. Like, you looked over at us and you're like, hey, are you set up yet? And we went, no. And you're like, okay, good. And we're going, what? And then we walked around the bar. Like, it wasn't 3 minutes later.
2
we
different
walked around the
cameras
bar.
set up.
Camera set up, mics all over the table. We're like, what is happening? Oh, well, I'm recording here tonight. And we're going,
It's good.
what?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. No,
I think we got done on time to not mess you guys up too bad, I think.
No, it actually was
I didn't
surprisingly
really look at the
efficient for
clock,
all of
but-
it. It was including a, almost 45-minute Cincy Beer Events
Yeah.
episode, which, seriously, guys, go back and listen to last week's Cincy Beer Events. It is freaking hilarious. I cut almost nothing out of it because of how much fun we had doing that one.
That's a good one.
But anyway, on to this one. Marco and I kind of chimed in here and there because, I mean, if we're going to get kicked out of our podcast table, we're going to let you know about it.
I think
so
we
we kind of...
still respectful of the fact that Elijah was, the subject of.
Respectful
Well, he was here
or
for no,
afraid
but-
that he was going to tie you to a railroad track if you
all
said
the,
anything?
All the above, really.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
he's terrifying.
I think actually, I think if it's something he wanted to do, it's inevitable. So just
That's true.
just
He could
fucking-
definitely overpower
just go.
both of you.
All of it. Yeah, very true.
I think
no,
it came up in the episode about his height versus ours, and
It did. It
yeah.
did. Elijah is the honored guest. His origin story of being the villain and who ties people, or like why is he tying people to railroad tracks, and how that tied into craft beer. It was an incredibly crazy spaghetti bowl of an origin story.
Ah, spaghetti.
But one hell of a story. And I didn't know a lot of that about Elijah, so it was great to kind of be sitting back a little bit and just letting you conduct the introduction of
Conductor.
Elijah to. Oh, good God!
the train.
We can't get away from it. We can't get away from it, no
He
matter
also
how hard we
hosts
try.
escape games where you don't escape.
Ooh.
You're just tied up, and he just
Ooh.
pummels you with trivia questions.
I was excited to learn that you can get a gin and tonic on Uranus.
That's correct.
And speaking of his origin story, he always enjoyed trash macro beers. Craft was a very hard sell for him when he got started. But then once that door was open, full steam ahead, because
All that drinking on Uranus, it makes you thirsty for something that's a little crisper.
he also let loose that he robbed Highland Coffee.
I think I just heard him let loose. Jeez.
That phrasing was my fault entirely. I own that one. Robbing Highland Coffee House turned into being a regular there.
That's
So
crazy.
for whatever reason, they didn't press charges.
Yeah.
But, it all worked out. He fell in love with how sours embrace the character of a fruit, which is a really good, succinct way of explaining it, because I feel like that's a way that most people learn to like sours. It's not... Some people like the tartness, some people like that sour aspect, but I think it's learning or finding how that fruit really comes through in that style.
Well, and that's-
It's amazing.
It's one
yeah.
thing that Urban Artifact definitely showed me when they came up around town is that you can make a fruit beer taste more like the fruit if you add some acidity to it versus some of the other sweet kind of fruit beers that were around.
Right. You add sugars and it almost turns artificial.
Yeah.
You add that tartness, and it actually is the fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that actually was a side question that I wanted to ask, but again, didn't want to step on the toes of your interview. Marco, you had brought up how, years gone by, there was kind of that IPA bitter off. Like, I want to make the most bitter IPA ever. Was there ever a sour off to where places were trying
I
to
felt
make...
like there was.
Yeah, I definitely felt
like
it.
it?
But
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was like intentional. I think it was just bad brewing practices. I think. I don't think
Gotcha.
people knew what they were doing.
Okay.
Versus, I'm going to make this more sour.
All right.
Yeah, I probably tend to agree with that, where people were, brewers were getting into trying to familiarize themselves with the process and the end result, and they're like, oh my God, I did it! It'll strip the enamel off
yeah.
my teeth, and they're like, well, actually, that's not very appetizing. So, well, now I got to figure out how to mute that, and it's like, yeah, you probably do.
But no one was actually trying to go, okay, this is how tart or sour we're perceiving
Right. I don't want
brewery
to.
A's beer to be. Let's try to up that and make it
I don't
even
want to
more.
take 3 barrels and be able to disintegrate a human.
Are we losing the magic of making beer?
I think so.
I really liked that question. I really liked that aspect of it, because you're right. When things first started, it was like, hey, I had this random, what did you say, this stick that a gorilla peed on, and I
think
threw
that
it in
was
a
Elijah
barrel.
that said a piece of driftwood that a bear peed
Bear
on.
peed on, yeah. And then I threw it into this bucket of fruit for whatever reason. Then all of a sudden, out comes this. I don't know why they decided to taste it.
Yeah, you
But,
taste
you
it.
know,
That's what we
I
do.
mean,
You
Yes.
do
Yeah.
kind of taste everything, yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely some stupid guy just sitting around. That's what we do. We do stupid
Because a
things.
woman wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
A guy,
they're smarter
stupid
than
guy
us.
would do that.
Yes.
Yeah. They're-
I don't know what this is. I mean,
women are smart.
Look, I dare you to try that.
Probably.
$5 to try this.
Exactly.
I'm more mad than
Or
you.
back in days of what you're saying,
I'll
like
give you 2
I'll give you 2 rocks.
two sharp rocks.
I'll give you two pebbles and a stick.
When you listen to him, he's the insurance one.
Oh God. Good. Another great question. Why make your own beer when there are so many great breweries out there? That was another absolutely phenomenal piece of this conversation. And plain and simple, I just because I'm a nerd. I enjoy the science behind it. I want to know what the process is, which I don't think is nerdy at all. I think that's
Yeah, it's
just
kind of nerdy.
and kind of, but to me, it's more. I'm curious about the world, and I don't think that there's
Yeah, that's
something
pretty.
inherent.
That's nerdy. To
Okay.
be curious about things is in itself nerdy. That's what it's kind of nerdiness to me is like being so curious about something that you do kind of obsess about
Try
it.
to-
You try to figure it out. Like that's nerdiness. It's
Okay.
not a bad thing.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I like that. Let's see. Talked about drinking rusty nails, and Marco learned that RC is still a thing. It's still at I saw it at Kroger the other day, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
On the
actually
west side?
on the west side.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It
Just hasn't gotten over there yet.
No, no.
Coca-Cola
It never
is still
disappears.
new over there.
Yeah.
Let's see. The current likes and dislikes of styles.
Oh, look, it's Pepsi.
That ain't Pepsi. That's RC Cola.
I bet there's Mountain Dew.
Talked about the
tickle your
current-
innards.
Oh, yeah. Good old Mountain Dew with pure cane sugar in it. The current likes and dislikes of styles is very similar across the board, I feel like, from Barstool perspective to Elijah to us. Everyone wants...
Apparently his wife as well.
True that. Everyone wants more pastry stouts and New England IPAs.
Pasty.
Pasty stouts. My bad for the mispronunciation. Kind of speaking of sours, so Blake, I know that you're drinking a sour. Do you enjoy the style a lot, or is it more of just wanting to try everything and it's not your thing typically?
I try everything, but I've come to, I'm not trying to be a homer here, but Urban Artifacts sours and Little Fish sours, everyone else, I don't know, a lot of them taste like a little more artificial than they do, and once you start drinking something that you know that's real fruit and stuff like that, that's where you lean on, and when you taste it, it's like, oh, this isn't real fruit, and it just doesn't taste right, or I don't know.
I think a lot of the places that put out sours that don't use as much real fruit. I mean, I'm sure most places try to use like some. Maybe they throw like a single strawberry into the batch.
You would
I don't
hope,
know.
but yeah.
I feel like you can tell the difference because there is that artificial taste, and they are more. They're harder on your enamel, for kind of lack of a better phrase. Whereas some of Urban and Jackie O's sours do make my teeth hurt a little bit, but it's never been to the extent to where I'm like, yeah, I can only have 2 sips of this. Like, I'm still finishing my glass. I might not be able to have multiple in a row, but I would agree with that. When there's real fruit, there is absolutely a difference in the taste, the quality, the experience, and we are beyond lucky that we have both of those.
And I forgot, like Third Eye, Alomatic out of Huber Heights, they all their fruit sours. All
Ryan
taste-
Guy's sour program.
Yes, Ryan
You
Guy's.
guys killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything else on this episode of Cincy Brewcast before I give you both the sip count and a multiple choice question?
That's all I got.
Oh, and props to you. You actually put the links in the show note that you said
right.
you were going to put in the show note.
Getting very good at that.
Really?
I am proud of you.
Hell yeah.
He's almost a professional now.
Awesome.
Close
Way to
to.
go, buddy. Yeah.
Do
So
you
I
guys,
have one question. I'm sorry.
Yes,
so you're
absolutely.
talking about pastry stout. So what's your definition of what's overboard and what's a
Ooh,
good
good
pastry
question.
stout? What's your?
The problem is you're not going to know until you taste it.
I
Yeah.
know.
I would agree
In
with
my opinion, you're not going to know until you taste it. There was a description of a pastry stout in Cincy beer events today that sounded extremely over the top. However, if it was executed well, it could be absolutely phenomenal. So to me, it just is something. I know that a stout 10, 15 years ago wasn't supposed to be as thick and viscous or dense as somebody today expects. Somebody today expects a stout, a pastry stout, to be as
Any stout, I would argue. I think pastry stout kind of
shifted
pushed
that
other things in different
perception.
directions.
Yeah.
So, to me, once you get to the extremely cloyingly sweet, over the top, I only want 2 ounces of it and I'm done. To me, if it's not at least something that you can enjoy in a proper portion, if I have to share the package that you put it in with other people for it to be the correct portion, then you packaged it in the wrong portion, in my opinion. That's the way I feel about it. So
I would agree with that. I would take it one step farther. When I'm looking at a can or a listing on a tap list of something that would fall under that pasty stout category, if there are more than 3 adjuncts to it, I start to get a little hesitant. It can still be fantastic. Again, like you guys were saying, if it's done well, it can still be absolutely phenomenal and not too over the top. But once you start saying, like, let's see how much extra stuff we can throw into this, that balance, I feel like, gets harder and harder to to match. But I would agree that it does come down to taste. It's kind of hard just to tell.
Everything should play an important role in the beer. You shouldn't add things into a beer just to add things into a beer. So I mean, if the thing you're going for needs 6 ingredients, I'm fine with it. But those ingredients have to all be present. They all have to play off each other, and there has to be balance to it. There has to be balance in every beer for me. I get really tired of, unbalanced garbage beers. I want to taste everything that's there. I don't want it to be too sweet. A little bit of sweetness is fine, but it shouldn't overpower everything.
Yeah, I mean, a Rocky Road beer could be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you get chocolate and peanut, and coconut and marshmallow, and maybe a slight bit of graham cracker to it. I mean, whatever it is, that could be phenomenal.
Maybe even some lactose.
Maybe. But it could be phenomenal. But take those too far in the wrong direction, and it becomes something that I take a sip of, not even an ounce, a sip, and I'm like, okay, I got it, I understand it, and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
And you as a brewery can't move volume that way either.
Well, I would push back a little bit that some of that is part of the craft beer thing too. You need places that are putting out things that aren't necessarily volume products.
Well, I don't disagree about a passion, but what I'm saying is that ultimately I hope that you would want to have people enjoy it and come in, ask for it, and then buy some sort of volume. That which is overly sweet and extremely cloying, and something that you're only going to open and have 1 ounce of, maybe that's just an 8-ounce can.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just
like Urban Artifact does with their astronaut food.
Perfect example. It's
Question
ridiculous.
back at you. Do you have thoughts on what makes a good or an over-the-top pastry stout?
I enjoy most of them, but I agree because some of them are way over, like the ABV. I love high ABVs, but especially me coming from Dayton, if there's some one particular one doing one and they have a whole bin of it, it's like, I can't have all of these.
Right, yeah.
Or I'm never going to make it home.
Right,
So,
right.
But I agree that with the astronaut food, if all of them came in that
I
size.
love small packaging.
Yeah.
That's why I like Marco so much.
Aww.
Thanks, buddy.
My little pocket buddy.
Oh, jeez. All right. Do you guys want the sip count or the multiple choice question first? Blake, I'm throwing this one to you.
Let's do multiple choice because I think I know the answer to it.
All right.
Oh, you have the
right.
questions. Okay.
I mean, he's looking at both of our notes. We did kind of set them right in front.
We did share notes, yes.
So-
Set them right in front of them.
All right, multiple choice question. What drink can you, and Gnome kind of maybe spoiled this one a little bit. What drink can you get at any bar on any planet in any universe?
Yeah.
Is it A, the gin and tonic, B, the rusty nail, or C, the Negroni?
Julie, where's the D? Bring the D. Or is it a buttery nipple?
Well done,
I
sir.
like the answer.
All right. What is it?
Buttery nipple.
Hell yeah.
Love a good buttery
Hell
nipple.
yeah. and then the sip count for this episode.
Also Marco's nickname in high school.
Woo. Very true. I tried to count up as many of the sips as I could catch
Just
on
toffee
camera.
and a brown and
Oh, thank you for mansplaining that one
Yes,
for me,
yes.
Marco.
You may not understand this, Julia, but
Fuck you. Get out of here.
typically comedy is a male thing.
That's so wrong.
She shut us all off.
Are you guys going to behave yourselves now?
yeah.
Probably
not. I know better. All right. In this episode between...
I have one question before you get to the sip count.
Yes, sir.
Were you counting sips like during the show? Is that why you weren't talking as much? Were you busy like clicking away on your clicker?
No.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
That's a
maybe I was. My excuse was it wasn't our show, it wasn't our interview,
sure.
so I was going to stay back and just chime in here and there, but let you run your show.
Sure.
But yeah, I also had the clicker, so I kind of had to. I gotta stay on top of these things. I counted a total of 57 sips
Okay.
between you, Elijah, Marco, and myself.
Okay.
According to
One more question about the
yes,
sip count.
yes.
Did it affect how many sips you were taking as you were doing it? Did you start
So-
to pick it up like, oh no, I can't. We got a nice even number right now. And
Unless I could tell, so because there were a couple times where Marco, you would pick up your glass and you would start to lift it up, and then you would say something that's not a sip.
Oh,
Sure.
But there were a couple of times where you would see like my hand go to the glass and my glass would disappear, and typically I don't pick up my glass unless I'm taking a sip. So
That was
unless
the RPO,
unless
the
I
run pass
said-
option.
Right, exactly. So there may be some
that you missed.
that I missed.
So I
some-
should go
some-
back to the raw video and actually get a real count.
Absolutely, I would love that. But if you're
I'm not going to do that.
No, he's absolutely
No.
not. No. But if you're playing our drinking game, which means you are taking 2-ounce sips for every time that one sip is taken on a show, 57 sips in Volume 9, Episode 22 of Cincy Brewcast. That's 57 times 2 ounces.
114.
114 ounces, which
Look
is
at you with your math.
7.125 pints of whatever beverage you deem is worthy. That's
acceptable.
solid.
Yeah,
that's
that's
solid.
solid.
Between 4 people, absolutely. If there's no other notes or comments, I think we need to take a quick break.
We should.
Get a couple refills, and then we will be right back with
Back.
the Weekly Pint back and Barstool Perspective.
All right.
All right.
Back.
All right, folks, we have made it.
Back.
Back. Oh.
Ooh, everyone was really good on that one. That was close. We have a couple refills. I'm still enjoying Saunders Amber Ale, so boring like that. Blake, what do you have? Something new?
I'm doing the figgy
pudding?
Figgy pudding. by
Oh,
Urban
yeah, from
Artifact.
Ribbit. Oh, that was so good from the beer event calendar. Love it. Gnome, you're still
Still
working
sipping on the same thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And Marco? That is a different looking beer, so that has got to be Imperial Headhunter.
Yeah. Actually, it is Imperial Headhunter, but it does look different.
It looks
Are you,
completely
are you
different.
serious?
I wonder if we're getting to the.
That's got to be the bottom of the keg. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
finally doing
was
it.
saying that
That's
to be
funny.
an asshole, but all right, let's finish up in the Gnomeverse. We had last night, or well, I'll just say February
Last
5th.
night.
You gonna serenade us a little bit?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Brand the keyboard.
Oh, the
Too cold to
keyboard.
take his hands
Too
out to
cold
put on the keyboard.
Yeah. It's not that cold.
It's
It feels
kinda
like-
chilly.
They have the door open.
The door is
It's
open. That's
wonderful.
why I
It's
put the
fantastic.
hoodie back on.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. This is the episode from February 5th, 2024, episode 203, if we're still counting episode numbers.
It's
for it.
always being counted somewhere.
Somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like it's
This one
all,
is.
I feel like
Cincy
it's all
Brewcast
top
is not.
secret. Which the only thing top
I just
secret
didn't-
about
I
this
just didn't get
episode
to it.
is you didn't talk about anything top secret. Or maybe that was the whole point.
Yeah, maybe.
It's top secret because
Maybe
we
it was all
can't
planned.
know about exactly.
It's actually really
Criminal
difficult
mastermind.
to create a show title for a live show because you don't always know where the
gonna
conversation is going to go before you turn the recorder on. You know, so it's
Very
hard
true.
to do that.
We helped you pick your beer that
Mm-hmm.
you drank. It was kind of a fun game. It was like pick a shelf number and then like how many beers over and
Yeah.
back, and it was a whole thing.
Maybe we'll start doing that more often. You just
I like it.
Sounds fun.
pick a shelf number.
I like
and
it.
then,
I like it. I'm down for it. The best things that you've drank this week, pretty much you just mentioned Braxton Storm, garage beer, and then a yard of beer. Did you say what the yard?
The yard was Storm.
The yard was Storm.
Yeah,
Okay.
Half
okay.
yard was Storm.
Half
Half
yard.
yard.
Half yard of storm.
True.
It's really good.
Play that half yard like a trumpet. I mean, by the time
yeah.
you're getting to the bottom of it. How many times are you at the yard house and you see people trying to drink out of those vessels and they
One.
just...
I don't go to the yard house like ever.
Oh, okay.
And so one.
One? Okay. All right.
Probably like my third time there.
This stemmed off a fun-ish little conversation about garage beer and where is it actually
Yeah.
being made.
Yeah.
I had my
I'm-
guess, and then my guess was confirmed. Thank you,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know for a fact. I just kind of know for a fact.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of with you. I don't necessarily care where my beer is being made. Just tell me where it's being made. Like, how
Let's
does
be
that...
honest.
How does that hurt anything? Like, I'm sure the whole... the image that they want is garage beer is still made in Kentucky.
Well,
it's still very local, whatever.
Look,
but it's
I
like,
assume it
I don't
is. Like, I
know.
assume, like, I was down at Braxton today, and garage beer was on tap, and I'm assuming that garage beer was still made at Braxton.
But they could be doing separate batches.
I just think
some-
they're making
there,
some garage beer
somewhere
here
else.
and some
Sure.
garage beer somewhere else because they can't keep up with the
demand.
The demand for how much they're
which
selling.
makes sense, but just say, like, can you put, and this is something that I don't know, can you put on a label if it's something like that where it could be brewed in one of two places?
Yeah.
Can you put
absolutely?
brewed
Sam
Covington
Adams
or whatever?
always did that from the very beginning when they were contract brewing. It said multiple locations. It probably still does.
Okay.
Brewed in, Pottsville,
Here,
Pennsylvania,
here.
Cincinnati, Ohio, and Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, I see. No, if legally it was you can't have more than one location.
No, you just have
it
to.
has be
You have to say where it's brewed. It has to
disclosed.
say somewhere on there where it's brewed. So I assume that there are probably some packages, or maybe just draft. That's probably, if they're trying to actually deceive people, that's the way to do it, is just to do a draft, because you don't see the keg column, you
that's
can't
not
see.
there, yeah.
But if there are cans being made in multiple locations, some of the cans will say, brewed in Ohio, and some of the cans will say brewed in Kentucky, or however they word it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I wonder if there are any
The
cans here that we
Commonwealth.
could kind of the Commonwealth.
good old
yes.
Commonwealth.
There are a lot of behind-the-scenes
Oh, man.
changes coming to your studio and the
Always.
entire basement space, the bar, the stage, the office space, the radio station,
Wrestling
vinyl
ring.
spinner, the wrestling
Wrestling
ring.
ring, yeah.
There is so
Mud
much
wrestling.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Jello.
Nope, mud.
No,
Jello's
mud.
too sticky.
Not wrong. But I mean, mud, it gets the dust as it starts to dry, so unless you keep it wet,
Yeah, you always got to
that
keep it wet.
dust cover is going to be everywhere.
Sprinkler system.
Well, Walmart has
sprinkler
a
system.
toilet paper. It's 4 rolls for $1.
Oh, yeah. That's that single ply shit, right?
No, it's 2-ply.
Are there any... What is the change to the studio basement space that you're the most excited about? Or is that kind of hard to say because
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's all
in
kind of
flux?
it's because it's all behind the scenes stuff. Like nobody else will notice.
But you
It's
can be
just-
excited about. You know what I mean? Like just because someone doesn't know.
Yeah, it's all. I just want to get things done and just be able to move on to the next project.
All right. Well, if you need any amateur carpenters, you know who not to call.
Yeah, really.
I can hold a hammer. I can hold a drill, but things might not turn out the way you want them to if I use them.
Nothing
I
ever
am-
turns out the way it's supposed to down in the
Well, perfect.
Gnarly Gnome Tavern.
Invite us over. We'll drink the rest of the Oktoberfest beer that I'm sure you still have.
There's still some sitting around.
We'll make another cuvee. It'll be fantastic. There was a little talk about the Hofbrau ban ending. Possibly.
We're working on it.
Maybe.
Yes, the Gnarly Gnome legal team.
It's actually a thing.
So will there be a live either weekly pint or brewcast?
I don't know if I'd go that
from
far.
there?
We'll see.
Not gonna push your luck.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. that
A lapel
is,
mic and a camera at the end of
Just like
a
selfie
clicking
sticker.
pen.
Got to be real covert
Yeah.
about it and just like show up and just like whisper like, "Hey, so they don't know I'm here doing this, but I'm back
I'm gonna quietly do the chicken dance right now.
on the community table." Zach called into the show,
I did.
so he was able to help you not talk about top secret things. If it
That's
wasn't for
definitely
him,
true.
you probably would
I
have
could have got to
revealed.
it.
You probably would have revealed all kinds of things that you shouldn't have revealed. So,
Shout out, happy
so shout
birthday
out
to Zach
that.
Howard.
Yeah,
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, cheers to him. He's gonna
There we
hear
go.
this after his birthday and all that. But
Yeah.
cheers, and happy birthday.
Hope everything still works right tomorrow.
Probably not. He's turning 40. Everything goes to shit after
That's when it
that.
goes downhill.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Talked about the memories that you'll have or that you had with your very first beer with your dad. I said that completely wrong, but you all know what I'm saying. What is it going to be like?
Yeah, it's
like
going to be
for-
very different with kids now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The evolution of craft beer. Some places are going to close, but others are going to open. And I do like what you pointed out about, yes, some people may have missed certain breweries at kind of the early points of Cincinnati craft beer, but there's so many new ones
Yeah.
that have come. So you have a whole new set of breweries to experience, enjoy,
Well,
and
great
close.
stuff.
Yeah,
Like, that's the thing. Like the majority
absolutely.
of breweries that were around kind of at that early era in Cincinnati were not as good as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ones that are still around, Mad Tree, Rheingeist, whoever, their beer was not as good as it is now.
Yeah.
Everybody's gotten better. Beer's better now than it's ever been. I get the desire to be nostalgic about something you missed out on, but there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Just get out and drink what we have now. It's better.
Yeah. And if there's a place that you experience that does end up closing, well, you have that same experience, that same nostalgia
Yeah.
as people from the previous generation of Cincinnati craft beer, even though it shouldn't matter. Because,
I think one funny idea, they'd never do this, but I think one funny idea for everybody craving this nostalgia would be for Rheingeist to get all those old labels, if they still have all those old labels of all the IPAs and the pale ales that everybody said tasted the same. They make one and they just wrap the cans with different labels.
Oh my God!
And
that'd
put
be
it
the
out on
throwback
April Fool's
series.
April Fool's, like a mixed 12 pack.
A mixed 12 pack on April Fool's Day.
That
12
would be
different beers.
amazing.
And it's the same fucking beer.
That'd be great.
And I think that would be hilarious and amazing all at the same time.
Oh yeah, I would love that.
I would buy.
Oh yeah,
I would buy many of them and just crush them.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Just call me instead of a sister, a crusherone.
Then you guys went down a wonderful cryptid rabbit hole. Yes.
Sorry.
All good.
If people really want to know what beer was like, not in before then, but way back, go to the Caroline Brewing in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
And you can try beers that was like back in the 1800s.
Yeah,
even that's not even a fair
I
statement.
know.
Caroline, when they early on in their life, they had some trouble with their beer going sour, which is exactly what used to happen in the 1800s. It would go sour, and they couldn't figure out why because
But
it was
you
in
had-
barrels and all kinds of shit.
But you would drink it anyway because that's all you had. So.
Caroline decided to fix that problem and to not have all their beer be sour. So even then, like they got better.
Yeah. But they still serve some
Yeah.
room
But
temperature straight
yeah.
off. It's
But that's how beer was.
That's how it was. Like even they are better than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's an excellent point. I really like that. Yeah. The Bruce guys, Brett and Mike, their first and only so far bit of Patreon content was them going
Oh,
up
that was a
there
great episode.
and just watching this. These guys just standing over this fire pits and the boiling kettles and like hand carrying upstairs all
Yeah.
of these, who knows how many pounds of malt and hops and all that. It was amazing. So yeah, I mean, if you really want to go back,
That's a fun experience. If anybody
Yes.
has not ever been there,
I need to get up there.
I have
not
not.
yet.
Yeah, it's a fun place. We need to.
But the whole park is cool too. If you get the chance to experience it the whole day, there's like the Wright Brothers flyer still there.
So
they like
that-
leave the brewery and go do other things.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, you can take your. I think you can take your beer with you.
Oh, okay.
So it's on like kind of a campus.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. Road trip. How long would it take us to get up there?
Oh, that's not far
Yeah,
at
I
all.
know.
Yeah. All right. If we get into the car now.
Get in the truck.
I think they're
Get in the
closing
truck.
up, but-
Oh, boo. Well, they should open just for us.
Yeah.
Special
They actually
trip
should.
from. They
Yeah.
really
I mean,
should.
why wouldn't they?
I mean, do they know who we are?
yeah. Do they know the tens of people that we are
Gonna be
able to
listening
reach?
this?
And the coolest thing they ever did was when the tornadoes went through now in Dayton, the Crooked Hand Award Wing put a breweries together and they did a big beer festival at
Oh, that's-
Caroline Park, and all of the proceeds went to everyone
that's
that was
awesome.
hurting. That
Yeah.
was one of the coolest things they ever did.
That's fantastic. People who think that local breweries are always in competition with each other don't understand
Yeah.
the craft beer community. Yes, there is some healthy competition. There has to be. You want
Especially
your beer on the
get
shelf.
on shelves
Right,
and on
exactly.
tap handles and
Yeah.
stuff.
But when things happen within the community, they're all about helping each other out, and,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. Only other note that I had on this episode of the Weekly Pint was I loved the rancid rabbit hole that you guys went down about the different cryptids. And Marco, we need to go to the Loveland Frogman Fest on March the 2nd.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think
Anyone
it's
else
a
is
good
welcome
idea.
to join
It's also
us?
Bachfest weekend though.
Yeah, that's what someone pointed out.
I'll
I'm
go
just
to
like,
Loveland.
you just have to pick your priorities.
I mean,
Bachfest is 3
Bachfest-
days. Frogman Fest is one
Well,
day. You
when's the
can
Gnome
make-
going to be there? And when's Brett and Mike going to be on Mike and Brett bring his own room temperature beer to drink on camera? I would
Yeah.
want to be there for that.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else on this episode of the Weekly Pint before we get to the count? Because I counted multiple things in this
Okay.
episode. And the multiple choice question. So anything else on this episode?
That's all I got.
On the
Nah,
show?
that's
It's not
it.
a show, no?
Nah.
Blake, you good?
Blake?
Good.
All
You
right.
good? All right.
All right, Marco, your turn. Do you want the count first or the multiple choice question first?
No, let's go for the count first.
The count? All right.
Yeah.
The total number of sips were 4,
Okay.
which you tried to inflate at the end.
Sure.
Great job there. And the unintentional, well, one was intentional, of emojis. I don't know if it's OBS or what, so I just say the OBSs
I don't know what it is.
was also 4. So that's a total of 8 countables, which works out perfectly. That is...
So you counted intentional and unintentional?
Yeah, every time they showed up.
16.
If you intentionally
So a
took
full pint.
sips and you intentionally threw up the hands for the lasers,
Sure, yeah.
it all counts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 16 ounces. That is a full pint during
Yeah.
this episode of the Weekly Pint.
Let's go.
It works. It is fantastic. We have one show left to go. Is everyone good with their
What was the
beverages?
multiple choice?
Oh, shit. Yep. Thank you. What would we do without Blake? We would just wouldn't have the
We
multiple
would have
choice.
skipped it.
We would have
is
skipped
what
it.
we would have done.
No. What does Gnome disappoint us with?
Everything.
Is it A, top secret projects? Is it B, beer? Or is it C, vertical videos?
Vertical videos by far.
All of the above.
Do we even need a D for that one?
Always need a D.
Julia is a D.
There's so many
bounced.
D's. They're all over.
Just bounced.
Push your D's away.
Never.
Or is it D, Julia? Or is it, does he disappoint us with the lack of drinking with the Gnome episodes?
Ooh. Although he did say that one is coming. It's been in
Believe
the
it when I see it.
It's
It'll
been
be
in
up
the
this
works
week.
since, ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
That's
Well, because
Can we quote
Yeah.
you on
this,
that?
yes, because on the
Nice.
because on the
That's what
next
all of
week,
us over 40 hope.
on next week's episode of Cincy Brewcast, I told people to go back and reference the episode of Drinking with the Gnome that
Ooh.
doesn't exist.
That's bold
Yeah,
of you.
just make myself get it done.
That's accountability right there.
yeah.
Good job. All right. Barstool Perspective,
Yeah.
a.k.a. Brew Sky's Booze News. I guess they're sticking with Barstool Perspective until
I like
he gets
Barstool
sued.
Perspective
I do
better.
too. It's good. This was the YouTube episode that aired February 5th of 2024. Ultra right beer, ultra wrong business model.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I want to say to Michael D. Morgan.
Brings the D, Morgan.
He went bare-chested for the entire episode.
Yeah.
So, hell to the
And then he did the King Kong gorilla thing.
several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fantastic. First thing that they brought up is Canarchy Brewing.
Monster Brewing.
Is it
Brew.
Brew? Yeah. Now it's
Monster
Monster
Brewing.
Brewing.
Yeah.
They bought Monster Energy. They rebranded as Monster
No,
Brewery.
Monster Energy bought them.
Okay, I had that written down wrong. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is this foreshadowing of more craft breweries being killed off? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it was just like they said. I think it's probably just to produce and distribute Monster product, not to perpetuate the craft beer model that they currently have.
I imagine some of those like smaller, like I don't know how many tap rooms Canarchy actually operates. I assume some of the smaller ones will still stay open and kind of do their own thing if they're profitable businesses. But no, it's all about Monster. It's about which is Coke, right? Coke owns Monster.
I
So
believe
it's about
so.
Coke building this other side of their business that people are drinking less soda than they ever have too.
You know how to fix that.
industry is panicking just as much as
Yeah.
craft beer, and they're like, well, how do we do this?
Yeah, I mean, they were on a meteoric rise with, the energy drink
Yeah.
segment. It's a distribution play, it's a manufacturing play, and I think it has not very much to do with beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or beer in the traditional sense that we know beer.
Agreed. In the no shit news of the week, boomers are dying because they're old.
Yeah, they do that.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
How
I was
about
I was
that?
kind of
That's
taken aback.
strange.
It's a
they-
weird thing.
they
It's a
die 'cause they're
circle
old.
of life.
And their doctors tell them to quit drinking.
yeah.
That was the other part of it.
Yeah. Is wine in the U.S. dying due to its lack of approachability?
That's absurd. It's not dying.
It's not dying. I honestly think
Is
that,
it shifting?
and I wouldn't tell you anything other than honesty right here on this podcast.
Of course.
We are all
That's
about
what the
the truth.
show's all about.
I don't think it's dying at all. What I think is that it's probably going through another correctional phase where large manufacturers, small manufacturers just need to right size their business and be able to put out on shelves and faces products that are going to be attractive or appealing to everyone. The problem with wine when you go and look in a place that sells wine is there's so many segmentations that people end up just being just real in their own lane or in their own niche. And the other thing is that when they go to ask for help, it always sounds so over their heads and pretentious, and the people part of it corrects from either the place that's offering to sell the wine or the wineries themselves, as they correct and understand that they just need to be relatable. If you make your reps relatable, you make your brand relatable, you make all that relatable.
Well, it was something that craft beer understood from the very beginning, is that, yes, there are people that want to fuss over their beer and they really want to, dive in and talk about hop varieties or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, it's still beer. People want to just sit and drink.
Right.
And that exists with wine drinkers too. Sometimes wine drinkers just want to sit around and drink, and they don't care if it's coming out of a box, out of some, grocery store. They just want to sit and drink. And the wine industry has always kind of struggled with that. It was how they identified themselves for so long, as we're better than all of this. We're a more premium product, and it's just not true.
So, Blake, do you drink wine at all?
A little bit.
Okay.
One thing I noticed up north is there's a little city called Bradford, Ohio, and they have a Bradford winery. I think that's what it's called. But the number one thing they sell is not wine. They like the place I like going to Troy is called a cellar. And it's become far long ways on being a bottle shop, and the number one thing is they sell 21 barrel cider. That
Nice.
I was just starting to wonder, do wineries need to start make good wine, of course, but looking into a different avenue. If we're making wine, go to the cider.
A winery making cider makes a lot of sense since it falls under their license. Why wouldn't you do it?
I think it still just boils down to whatever a winery's making, make it accessible. Like, find a way to just appeal to as many of the drinkers as possible.
Yeah.
And that'll make more people, in my opinion, more willing to at least go and try it, regardless of what other options they have.
The full product line doesn't have to be accessible to everybody. Like, you can make a premium product and a more accessible product, and that's okay. There's plenty of industries that do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it so that if somebody wants to walk in as a drinker and wants to learn about this thing, make it easy for them. Make it comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would wonder is who's actually hurting. Is Barefoot hurting, or is or the top end wines hurting? And if it's the middle segment of wines that are hurting, okay, maybe it is time for a right sizing of that assortment and those vineyards. But a lot of those are owned by larger conglomerates anyway.
As long as people are drinking, they're going to be drinking good stuff across
You would
all
hope.
segments.
Yeah, I agree.
And guess what? People are always going to be drinking.
For sure.
There's going to be quadruple with pastry stouts and
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In things that Mike learned this week, apparently tequila is a plant.
Wow.
Well, technically,
Wow.
No,
yeah.
they grew that.
He's like, if I would have known that, I would have planted some. It's like, it's not quite that
I don't
easy.
know. I don't know
but,
how you do that.
No, you dig a hole in the dirt. You take just a plant, I guess just any random plant, and say, you are now a tequila. Stick it in the dirt, water it.
For the record, Mike, there is, or Brett, I don't remember who said it. There is not a mezcal region. That is not the
That
defining
is Brett.
factor.
That was
Brett.
Brett,
Brett
yeah.
was the mezcal expert in that.
No,
Yes.
no mezcal region. I mean, there are certain regions you have to be in to make mezcal the same way as tequila, but the primary difference. Everybody,
Here
get
we
out your
go.
notebooks
Here
here.
we go.
Take
Here we
some
go.
notes. The primary difference is how it's cooked. With tequila, they take the piña and they
Yeah.
Excuse you?
they put
Yeah,
it
I got
in,
that
in
piña.
kind of
No.
basically a
Put
pressure
your
cooker
piña away,
and cook it that
Marco.
way. It does not affect the flavor or any of that when they cook it. Versus mezcal, it's still made in these like underground ovens, and because it's underground, all of that smoke kind of gets mixed in there, and it does affect
that
the flavor.
smoke. Okay.
So mezcal tastes more smoky.
It does.
That is the primary difference.
Well, it's not going to be Tequila Tuesday for another month or two here, but
It's always tequila.
It's always
Tuesday in my
tequila
heart.
Tuesday.
Tequila Tuesday. Let's see, what else do we have on this
Mezcal
episode? Mezcal Monday. Jason, Nick, make it happen. Because, they listen to everything we say.
Booze Wednesday.
Waving to you guys on the security
Drink it
cam.
all Thursday.
Ooh.
I got all the holidays.
I still said that on Tuesday.
Gnome passes out on the floor Fridays.
That's a good one. I'm still sad that they completely shut down my idea that on Tuesdays they had a spaghetti special.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. On premise, what does it mean? And the numbers in January actually looked good as far as on-prem sales.
I'm glad for that
Financial
data.
Yes.
I would say I would question, where does this bullshit come from? Because
Someone makes it up. Someone just makes it up.
I talk to a lot of people in this industry with, the tap rooms, bars, and January fucking sucked. And by the way, as soon as February 1st hit, it started to uptick. It was almost like a light switch happened. Which,
It's
by the
almost
way,
like people started drinking
I'm disappointed in all of you. I just want to say this
I'm sorry.
because, no, I mean, yes,
What did I do?
Dry January is a thing.
It's dried. Oh, I thought it was drunk January.
That's what I'm saying.
I read it wrong.
Dry
Jeez.
January is a thing, but the amount of people that actually participate in Dry January is extremely small. I think what happened actually is this is just a typical bounce back from the holidays and from everyone getting stressed and financially stressed. And finally, you get a paycheck in the middle of January. You get a paycheck at the end of January. And at the end of January, like, okay, we got a little bit of room to breathe. Let's go out and buy a pizza.
Let's go drink this paycheck.
Yeah.
Let's go out and buy a pizza. Let's go have some beers. Hey, by the way, 2024 is not going to fucking suck for us, for us as bad, financially as December.
I may have to disagree with that
January.
based on my next note.
Could be the start of the zombie apocalypse.
Yes, 2024 is the year of the apocalypse.
Well, then just drink. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, if everything's going to end, just drink.
That was the general. It doesn't matter how fast you can run; you're still going to die.
True that. Just find
gonna
your slower
die.
friends and push them down first. Two more notes. One is the main story of the week that the title referred to.
Oh yeah.
Ultra Right Beer, surprise, was a fucking scam.
Well, that's shocking. That's just so crazy.
Yes. Oh my God. So Mike invested heavily in this brand, and he has yet to see his ROI.
We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The sky seems to be falling, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die. There ain't no sense in stalling, no reason not to cry. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
And there goes the YouTube copyright claim right there.
Correct. Shout out to
Yes.
Yeti, Blanc, and Chris Cody. We're all gonna die. Just turn on the news. That's the name of that song.
Perfect.
He is a contributor on the Greg Cody podcast featuring Greg Cody.
All right. So there were gazillions of dollars in like that they put in. Well, I don't think they actually put any money into this. They had an
I
idea.
don't think they thought this through
They had a
very
bit
well
of
at all.
marketing, and it came out to exactly maybe zero.
Sounded like a good
Pints
idea when he
being-
was sitting around with his buddies talking about how much they hated Bud Light.
And then someone's like, "You're not going to do it." And he was like, "I'm totally going to do this."
I'm making it right now. I just
Yeah.
sold some.
Yeah.
Is that the
I'm gonna
accent
go
we're-
make a video.
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now.
I'm gonna go make me a video where I talk about transgender bathrooms. Have you guys watched all the videos that they did? Like
Hell
all of them?
no.
Not
it's-
all of
I
Oh
cannot.
God, it's so good.
The one where they kind of parodied the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
Jesus, like they
Yeah.
had that kid had a freaking black eye in that.
Mm-hmm,
What did they do to that kid that forced him into doing that? That's slave labor, child labor.
Yeah, well.
It's the whole thing's terrible. And if you bought into that, sucks to be you.
I tried to buy into it when I was watching the show. I'm like, man,
Hey.
I should get some of that.
At least with Safety Shot, I actually got the product.
That's true. But much like Mike and Brett's experiences recently, it won't take payments anymore. I think they shut it down.
No. Does anyone have any other notes on this episode of
I've got
Barstool Perspective?
a whole bunch of more notes now.
Yeah, but that's for Truth Beer Pod After Dark for the actual episode. Anything else before we continue our discussion?
There you go. You should do this conversation again.
Yes.
Monday.
Yeah.
What if we grab a bottle of white wine and it possibly has
Could be
cocaine in it?
Do we want the sip count or the multiple choice question first?
Sip count.
Sip count? All right. Mike had a total of 6 sips.
Okay.
Brett had a total of 21.
Whoa.
sips.
Whoa. Whoa.
And
What?
he was using a tiny little mug too.
It wasn't the smallest mug he's ever used.
No, it's not.
It was kind of like a medium-ish mug.
Yeah, it's a
But
medium
it was
mug.
Still, yes, but there were a lot of little sips.
Yeah, when someone's only slightly judging you.
Exactly.
A medium
we are
mug.
medium-ish mug. No, it's fine. It's you do you tiny mugged person. So 27 total sips, which is 54 ounces, which is 3.375 pints if you are playing our drinking.
Well, it was only
Also respectable.
It was only a 60-minute episode, so like, yeah.
It was 17:38.
Yeah,
17
so 3
minutes, 38
pints,
seconds.
17 minutes. Blake, you ready?
Yes.
We're
Let's
gonna
do it.
start. We're gonna start in 2
As soon as
minutes.
we're
You
done with
ready?
this, yes,
3 pints in 17 minutes.
we got this.
I still got to go back home
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All right.
So it sounds like you declined.
for another day.
Okay.
Next time. Next time we'll plan better. All right, multiple choice question. What brewery or brand did Mike's friend name their kid after? A, Mick for Michelob, B, Oscar for Oscar Blues, or C, Urban for, obviously, Urban Artifact. Or Urban Meyer. I mean,
I would say
all right, all right.
Or is it? Do we name the kid Trump after the right-wing beer?
So are you bringing the D this time?
No.
No, never.
No.
Okay.
Ah, Julia, is it D? Is it? Is it Golden Monkey? Didn't we have a Golden
Oh,
Monkey?
Golden Monkey,
Golden
yeah.
Monkey,
Golden
yeah.
Monkey.
Sorry, kid.
Yeah, that's kind of all we have to say is just sorry. Well, was there anything?
Go to your party, but not if you're inviting Golden Monkey.
Oh,
God,
yeah.
that gets
He's
weird.
the worst. All right. If there are no other notes, thank you, everyone, for listening to this additional chaos of an episode. Gnome, go ahead and plug all your stuff. People should know where to find you by now, but just in case this is the first time they're hearing your voice, where can they find you and all of your wonderful stuff?
You can find me at shiftbe.rs. That is all of the
give them the
Gnome
easy one,
content.
spaghetti.net.
Spaghetti.net.
That's the easier one to cover. All right.
I never got my spaghetti t-shirt, by the way.
Oh,
never got
no. That's terrible.
Bunch of crap.
You can have mine if you
I'm
want.
gonna bring the D.
I have a
All right.
shirt.
Yeah.
I could ask him about your shirt.
I've talked to him about the shirt, and he's, oh yeah, I gotta get that to you. Yeah, you do. You do.
Yes. Blake, where can people find you and your podcast and your Instagram and YouTube and everything else? Plug absolutely everything because you guys
Are you
are
on
doing
Blue Sky?
amazing things.
No, I don't know what I'm on.
Blue Sky's very quiet.
For the podcast, the Brewery Explorers podcast, you can find us anywhere where you get podcasts. There's an Instagram page and a YouTube. If you want to follow Blake the Brewery Explorer, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, it's getting a little bit bigger now. So I'm pretty much everywhere.
That's freaking awesome.
Great.
And then Thirst Trap Thursdays.
Thirst Trap Thursdays on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thirsty
and then your
Thursdays.
beer reviews on Mondays on
Yes.
YouTube. Yes.
Wow, people actually noticed. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Also,
Absolutely.
shout out to you for doing a beer review every day during beer event season.
Yes.
Oh, God, that was so hard.
I give so
It's
much credit
difficult.
to people that do that. That is absolutely amazing.
It's
so
not
huge shout out to
drinking
you.
the beer. It's like, God, I got to come up with something new now. Mm-hmm. But
I watched
no, it's
I watched every one of them.
It's
I did see an evolution in the content.
Try writing a parody about
cheers
him
to
every
you.
single day.
Yeah, right.
Holy cow! I understand the
You leave
struggle.
me hanging. You leave me.
Yes.
Bow.
Sorry, I was zoning out. I'm looking all over the place. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you like what we've done here, please do all the usual stuff: like, subscribe, review, follow, tell your friends, your family, everything in the world. Thank you to producer Alex for keeping us well hydrated, for cleaning off the table, even sometimes before we're ready for it. He is awesome. Follow us everywhere. We are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms. Truthbeerpod.com is our email address. You can find links to absolutely everything that we do, including links to our Patreon, which gets you unedited episodes, and they are a hell of a lot of fun.
It's good shit, people.
It's good. Sign up, support us, buy us a beer every month.
See all the butt chugging.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't really see it. That's not the thing we want to see. So you can hear it, and the noises are terrible. It's awful.
You really want to hear us slap the cheeks.
Maybe that was a bad selling point. Elijah, let us know. Was that a bad selling point? He is our Patreon.
Just do it on the
There you
train
go.
tracks.
Yes. Yes, train tracks is where it all happened.
There comes Thomas.
Here it comes. What's going to get
No. All right. Well, to everyone at the table, Marco, Gnome, Blake, what are you guys going to be doing next Tuesday?
I'm going to be doing this, and I think Kolschneit is next week, right?
The 20th.
know.
2
Oh,
weeks.
wrong. Not next
You
week.
were close.
Don't go next week.
We'll see you guys there.
See ya. Cheers.
Bye.